Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Elevate Your Equity podcast, where investors, with a special emphasis on couples, begin, continue, and deepen their journey to financial freedom together using the powerful vehicle of real estate investing to do it. And today we have some amazing guests on the show. We've got Lupe and Savannah, who live in Los Angeles, California, with their two daughters, Eliana and Isabelle. Lupe works as a benefits consultant, and Savannah is a registered nurse. And together, they created Willow Investment Group, a real estate investing company that helps busy professionals create passive income through real estate investing. They currently acquire and operate multifamily investments across the country. And Savannah recently launched the Networth Nurse to help bridge the knowledge gap between healthcare professionals and real estate investments. They have a passion for value-add deals and connecting with other investors just like them. And today we talked about so many things. We talked about how they started off and how they got to their first syndication and all the things that happened in between.
This couple is so inspiring. What's really beautiful is that they have such unique skills on their own that they bring together in real estate investing. It really helps propel and elevates both of them up together. They'll share their story with you about their strengths and their weaknesses and how they support each other. What I love most about Savannah and Lupe is that they really bring together their synergistic, unique skills and are just soaring with real estate investing, and they have their 5-year goals, 10-year goals. They have this beautiful shared vision, and you'll just have to listen to the podcast to hear all the details.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So without further ado, let's bring them on. All right, and Savannah and Lupe, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Welcome. How are you guys today?
Hi, we're good. We're thankful to be here.
Yeah, great to have you guys on. And usually when we have some guests on the show, the first thing that we do is we ask them where they come from and what they're up to right now. So maybe can you guys fill us in on what you're doing right now, and then maybe go back and fill us in on how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So we met in college. We met at Sacramento State University. We were both in the Greek system up there, met each other. Got together really after college, after we graduated. I'm a registered nurse. I work full-time as a registered nurse here in Los Angeles, and Lupe is a benefits consultant down here. We work full-time jobs. We have 2 young daughters, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. And it was when I was on maternity leave with our second daughter that we got into real estate. We started investing in single family homes, and then shortly after quickly switched into multifamily investing. And right now we're syndicating out multifamily deals.
That's awesome. Well, you guys, it sounds like you are wasting no time in getting going. That's really amazing. So can you guys talk about how that conversation started? Like, what got you guys interested about real estate in the first place?
We were looking for ways to start investing our money. Both of us had traditionally been investing in our retirement accounts through our employers. That was really the only investing strategies that we knew. And we were kind of defaulted into that when we both started working full time. And we put a large chunk of our paychecks into those retirement accounts every month. And when we wanted to research ways of how we could spend kind of some of our extra savings into generating passive income, we both read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, wanted to start creating additional income streams. We stumbled upon real estate. For obvious reasons, there's so many different ways within real estate that you can generate that passive income. And after we started researching it, we're podcast junkies. We would go on road trips and listen to audiobooks together and really just start having conversations about what we wanted to get out of it, and then started investing in the multifamily real estate.
We jumped into single family homes first. We bought 2 new builds, rented those out, but then we started thinking, how can we scale this faster? Instead of getting a single family home, another single family home, scale it faster. And that's where we stepped into the multifamily scene.
That's fantastic. Thank you guys for that. Now, let's talk about the conversations that happened before that, because it's easy to say, looking back, we got started in real estate investing and you guys, got involved in stocks. And usually when there's a spousal relationship where there's one spouse and another spouse, one person ends up discovering the magic of real estate and has all this enthusiasm, right? And they're really excited about trying to share that with the world and also with their spouse. So was there a moment when you guys first got started that you saw that happening? where one person was really excited and there was kind of more of like either a negotiation or some sort of influential conversation that happened in the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. So that was me because I was at home on maternity leave, just watching YouTube videos, reading, and Lupe would come home from work and I'd be like, oh my gosh, look at this. We got to start investing in real estate. This is what we can do with it. And he would be like, slow down. Whoa, you're like 10 steps ahead of me. I got to catch up with you. And so at that point, I would just share him what videos stood out to me and what podcasts I listened to that really hooked me. And so when he would come home from work, I would share those with him and he would jump right on board, wanted to listen to him. And it was at that point where we read Michael Blank's Financial Freedom Through Real Estate Investing. It's a little yellow book. And once we read that book together and we realized how instrumental real estate investing could be in terms of financial freedom and time freedom with our daughters, that was when we sat down together, wrote our 5 and 10 year goal plan of what we wanted our lives to look like 5-10 years from now, and then kind of backtracked and what we needed to be doing at 3 years to make that happen, what we needed to be doing on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis. And we were on the same track. I mean, we have the same goals and aligned and vision with our family and what we kind of want to get out of that. And so when we wrote it down on paper and what it looked like, it was really a full-blown blueprint of what steps we needed to take to make that happen.
And I'm a numbers guy, so she shows me all the podcasts and everything. But once I look into the numbers and they make sense, and it's kind of a no-brainer. And then we just went on from there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Because my next question was going to be, Lupe, there's always usually one moment in time, right, where you're looking at this and someone brings up the idea of real estate and it's either foreign or completely it seems like this huge jump. But it sounds like for you, there was really kind of a natural fit with what Savannah seemed really interested in after discovering this, right? Listening to podcasts and all that. Was there any resistance at all at the beginning, or was this more kind of like, oh, I'm open to this. Let's talk about this. Let's see what we can do with this.
Not really. As she mentioned, she was on a fast one and fast pace, and it's as long as I was like, all right, let's slow down. Let's just make sure we get everything right, make sure the numbers make sense, and we're on the same page. And there really wasn't any bumps in the road when it came to getting on the same page, because we knew what we want. We know what we want for our future. And it's way easier when you and your spouse are on the same page. It makes everything flow more naturally and less hiccups.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. I can sense your synergy all the way from over here. And it's really beautiful to see such a young couple just plotting out their 5-10 year goals and knowing exactly what they want, sharing the same vision. Now, I know you guys both work really, really busy W-2 jobs. Can you talk a little bit about how you balance that with family life and how you balance your individual roles as while you're working these W-2 jobs?
Yeah, we're busy with work. We work full time, and then we do make it a point when we pick up our daughters from daycare and until they go to bed to really be focused on them and spend time with them. So we really don't do any real estate stuff. And at that period, we really put away our phones and focus all our attention on them, do dinner time, bath time, bedtime together as a family. And then usually right after that, we'll start digging into real estate together and kind of throughout the day, if things are going on. We're working on a project right now that we have under contract that we're getting ready to close on. And so throughout the day, if we have calls that we need to do together and bounce ideas off each other, we will do that. But for the most part, when we did our first deal, our first syndication deal, we walked through every part of that deal together, side by side. We were on all the calls together with investors, with the lawyers, with our broker. We kind of went through that together because it was our first one and we wanted to see exactly how it worked. And then after we completed that first syndication deal, we naturally fit into different roles of the business. Like Lupe said, he's the number guy. So he's doing the underwriting, the acquisition, property management, that sort of stuff. And then I'm kind of doing the marketing, investor relations. And so now we've kind of divided up parts of the business so we can work on things separately, but then together as well.
Wow, that's amazing, you guys. Like, such great advice too for people who are starting out. Giving that extra effort on the very first deal, whether it's a syndication or a single family home or multifamily home that's maybe a joint venture. and then looping your partner into all of the calls to see what resonates the best. Obviously, that presupposes that your partner is on board with you when this is all happening, right? And so hopefully those of you who are out there listening to this, please make sure that your spouse is on board with what you're doing before you do this, because when you sign up for real estate, it's not complicated, but it also isn't easy as well. Like, it's very simple, but it takes work to do. And so things can go wrong, and having the support of your spouse is really, really important. And then those conversations that you guys had early on with the first couple of properties, that adds an extra layer of trust, an extra layer of experience and shared knowledge. If something does go wrong, you can say, oh, I remember that conversation we had with the insurance guy, or, with the lender about this problem. And now this way we can resolve that on the next deal going forward. So I think that's fantastic advice, you guys. Really, really good stuff there.
And can you guys talk about, maybe share some like tough moments that you really had to, to work through together?
I think for me, some of the tough stuff is hearing about things that are going on with the property in terms of asset management. So Lupe does all the asset management. And for one of our syndications, we're doing a complete renovation of one of the units, and dealing with contractors, honestly, for me, is a little bit frustrating. I'm not a very patient person when it comes to certain things, and Lupe handles that so gracefully. He's great at having those conversations with people. And there's some things that, not that he hides it from me or doesn't intentionally tell me, but he knows that if he were to tell me something going on with the project that maybe didn't go smoothly, it would kind of stress me out. And so sometimes he kind of just keeps that to himself, kind of works through that, just because he naturally just handles those situations a little bit better.
That's amazing. And did you guys know that going on, or is this kind of like a discovery thing as you worked through the process?
Probably a discovery thing. Different parts we're realizing about the business that we just kind of fall naturally in. I mean, originally when we first wanted to start doing investing in real estate, we were thinking about doing the BRRRR method, which, for anyone listening, if you don't know, it's buying a place that's really low market value and really needs a full renovation, renovating it, renting it out, refinancing to essentially pull out all that capital and repeat it and do it again and again and again. And that was something we originally wanted to do, and we read the books, and we're going to do it across the country over in Atlanta, just because in Los Angeles, it's a higher price point of entry and we couldn't really make it work here. And so we were planning to do it in Atlanta. And then as we were bouncing that idea around with each other and looking at properties, we were both so hesitant to do a full renovation across the country. And it kind of took bouncing the idea off each other and talking through it to realize that together that wasn't going to be something that both of us could tolerate with a low stress level in our relationship. It just wasn't going to be a good fit for us to do that. And so then we stumbled upon syndications and multifamily, and it was just such a better fit for us and what we do kind of in our full-time job. And naturally, we just kind of steered toward that niche, which in real estate, there are so many different niches and different strategies to make each niche work. And so there's a lot of different opportunities, but we learned kind of early on that just because you have your eyes set on something doesn't mean you can't reassess and pivot in a different direction.
Excellent. Thank you guys so much. That's fantastic. Great advice there. You touched on it briefly there when you were talking the last couple of sentences, but it was about your W-2 and the strengths that you bring in from your W-2. A lot of our listeners out there are W-2 employees or 1099 professionals. And so they may not know it, but almost everyone has got some talent that they can translate into real estate investing. Could you guys maybe touch on that a little bit for each of you guys, both Lupe and Savannah? Maybe you guys can talk about what skills you were able to bring in from your full-time job into real estate that helped like kind of magnify your results.
No, absolutely. So I do benefit consulting, which involves a lot of Excel files work, a lot of formulas, equal sums, and if this, that, you get this number. So when Savannah sees me doing, all the underwriting, she just sits in the background. She sees me doing all this work, and her eyes are just wide open because she's like, I can't. How do you do that so fast and get these numbers? And there's 5 different tabs that are open at the same time. And she just looks so lost. And when it's the other way around and she's doing her thing, that's why I quietly just sit back in the background and just watch her do her thing.
Yeah. And for me, so at my job, I oversee kind of operations in multiple departments as a nurse manager. And so I'm used to putting out fires. I can kind of manage different processes and different projects that are going on. I mean, Lupe has really good project management skills as well as an account manager. He's always putting out fires at work. And I think really everyone can relate to that if you're in a W-2 job where you're doing that sort of thing, because a lot of it's problem solving, taking things as they come, kind of redirecting your way around things, trying to figure out different solutions, and being able to coordinate different aspects of a project, especially with the multifamily syndication. There's a lot of moving pieces all at one time, and having the background of being able to project manage it gives us a lot of help in that area.
Excellent. Really great. Now, I know that you guys are very busy. You have full-time jobs, you're doing syndications, and you have kids at home as well, right?
Yes.
So, do you have any tips for listeners out there who are either getting started in their real estate journey, who are maybe further along and want to expand their portfolio for time management? Because it seems like you guys have that down really well. Is there anything that maybe you can pass along to our listeners in that regard?
Time management, I would just say to set your priorities up. We make a list. I mean, we recently went under contract for a new apartment complex, and right when we get under contract, we make a list of everything that we need to do to get things going. And then we sit down together, and Lupe checks off the things that he's going to be handling off the list, kind of what his timeline is, and his feedback with how long that's going to take him and what the next step are. And then I look at that list and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this by a certain date. I need to check in with this person. I need to get the ball rolling on this. And then there's certain things that we work on together, like preparing a deal package for our investors, because Lupe does all the underwriting. He helps put all of that into a presentation. And then because I do investor relations, we do the presentations together, but I have that direct communication with all of our investors. And so there is a lot of collaboration that we do together, but we do kind of divide and conquer when it comes to certain things that we're working on. And honestly, I mean, at the end of the day, there's some days where we'll put the girls to bed and we'll get on our computers together and kind of knock through some things. I'll let him know kind of what I'm working on as I'm on my laptop, and then he loops me in on certain things that he's handling. And then we make sure to have a good life balance. I mean, on the weekends, we do some real estate stuff, but most of the time we spend it with the girls. We're usually at the beach every weekend. So kind of having that balance of being able to work on your business together, but still make time for the relationship outside of the business as well.
And it's different when you're working, with a W-2 job and then you're doing real estate, because once you jump into real estate and you really like it and it becomes so much fun, time just flies by. And, it'll be like, 10 o'clock at night, I'll be on an Excel file, just pinching numbers away. Next thing I know, it's like 1, 2 in the morning. Like, all right, I gotta go to bed. But the next day I show Savannah, I was like, hey, look at all this, look at these tabs right here. What do you think? And, just time just flies by when you're having fun. Like you said earlier, it's not easy, but it is simple. And, it just works out.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we just know what we're doing is going to get us to our goals. And when we are able to achieve some of those goals together and some of those obstacles that we overcome, and like when we closed on our first syndication deal, we get to celebrate together, and it feels so awesome. And then it gives us the motivation to keep going. And it's like, hey, we're on the right track. Like if we keep going at this rate, we are going to be in a place where we can retire from our W-2 jobs and work on real estate full time and have that time freedom and be able to spend a month in Hawaii out of the year. I mean, that's a huge goal of ours. And we realize by what we're doing day after day, we're getting to that goal.
Excellent.
You guys, you're so amazing. And we're smiling and we're chuckling a little bit because it just feels like we're seeing a lot of ourselves within you guys. Honestly, because he's such a numbers guy. And like you said, Lupe, when I'm looking at him underwriting and all these Excel spreadsheets, I'm like, what in the world? Like, how are you making sense of all this? And so it's wonderful to hear that you guys have such unique skills that are transferring from your W-2s into real estate that are synergizing so well. And for our listeners who are starting out as young couples, what advice do you each have for communication? And what if they aren't as synergistic as you both or on the same page? What early communication advice can you give to those couples just starting out?
I think a lot of it kind of plays back into how you handle really anything in your relationship. I know I'm kind of like an instant gratification, ready to go, kind of action taker, really quickly, instant feedback. And I know that when Lupe is working on something, and I've learned even in our relationship before we started the business, if he says he's handling something, he's handling it. And I don't need to be checking in with him as much as I feel that I need to be checking in with him. And I need to trust that he's working on it. And I mean, he always is. And it's just, I think kind of going through those situations together and having those different circumstances that you're rolling through, and either if it's giving each other trust or being very clear about what you're doing, I think it goes into your marriage and how you handle problems in your marriage as well. Just kind of working on how you guys communicate together, because it's different for everyone.
Yeah, good to motivate each other. If the other spouse is not on board too much, and one night you just, you don't want to do anything, you don't feel like doing anything real estate. The next night you don't want to do anything real estate. And once you stop doing something, it's hard to pick it back up. So it's good when your spouse is there and motivates you and say, hey, let's jump, let's look at this, here, I'm going to send you this new deal, or what do you think about this? And it just helps feed off each other, and we just motivate each other along the way when someone needs that little bit of motivation.
Yeah, that's great. There's been some times where, in our real estate investing career, where I have just been consumed. That's why I was laughing so hard. I put myself on mute to save the audience from my laughing over your guys' great words of advice. But I was just laughing hard because Lupe, you said you can get lost in spreadsheets like for hours, just because you're building stuff, you're linking stuff together, you're creating a model, and it's really cool. And I can't tell you how many times I've been doing that over many, many years. And it's actually been something that's thrown our dynamic as a couple off balance, because there were some points in time where Sophie would kind of watch me, not come in to go to sleep until like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, when we're supposed to be going to sleep at 9 o'clock or, a reasonable hour. And that was actually a serious discussion that we had to have about treating real estate as a business and not as like an all-consuming job, right? Even though there's passion there. So did you guys ever run into a dynamic like that where, especially with all the pressures from your kids, your W-2 job, the recreation time that you have to invest in one another, and yourselves, your own free time to kind of unwind and recharge? Did you guys ever find that there were discussions where there was like a stressful point that just needed to happen, or things got off the rails because of a miscommunication?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate. I think we both can to what you're saying in that respect. There are certain times, late at night after an exhausting day at work, where maybe I'm not feeling super motivated to be working on real estate. And I think Lupe, we both can pick up on that from each other. And if we're supposed to be doing real estate together, and Lupe's in a position where maybe he doesn't feel super motivated, then I can kind of pick up on that. And I'm like, okay, how about we send out a few emails together? Let's work on it for 1 hour, and then let's go watch a show together or something like that. And then we kind of like bounce back onto our relationship and something more recreational to kind of do together, instead of just real estate all the time, because you can be doing it all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely all consuming, because you're trying to, because you guys sat down together and you have your 5 to 10 year vision, and you're both working so hard. Like you both have, the nod from one another, because of like, you have this shared vision to work really hard on things, and there's going to be some sacrifices being made, but sometimes you cross a line without even knowing it. And that's something that Sophie and I encountered. So thank you guys for touching on that point, because that will happen for anyone who's out there starting, and then really like understands how powerful real estate investing can be for your career and for your financial well-being and for the whole family. So I think that's really important to remember, that there has to be balance in everything.
What advice could you give to, young couples just starting out who may have some mental obstacles, maybe some mental blocks, and they're telling themselves, I don't have the capital, I don't have the knowledge. What can you tell those people?
Yeah, even before you dive into real estate, getting that mindset right is huge. And that was something that, I'm huge on. I'm like a Tony Robbins junkie. I love self-help books. So I know, like, on one of the more recent road trips that we went on, or actually earlier in our investment career, we were listening to, I think, just an audio book on, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and listening to that together and using books, maybe not very heavy in real estate, but more like mindset shift books to get us on the right page. I think, I don't remember the author, but You Are a Badass at Making Money. There was a couple other ones that we would listen to just to kind of get the mind set shift. And then if he stumbles upon something, like he got really heavy into the tax advantages. So he read Tom Wheelwright's book, and I wasn't super drawn to that stuff, but he was reading that book and then sharing certain excerpts. Yeah, like he would find something that stand up that he knew would appeal to me. And he'd be like, oh, hey, look at like Tom Wheelwright saying you can pay your kids if you're a full-time real estate professional. This is cool. This is something we could do. And then it was kind of eye-opening to me. So I think we know each other's like weaknesses where you could kind of share something to get them kind of motivated or on the same page. And we know that about each other, and just kind of finding that stuff out there and then sharing it.
Awesome.
And Savannah, there's a lot of women. Oh, we'll touch upon this because you are a powerhouse, of course, powerhouse female investor, and you're inspiration for a lot of women out there. Now, what can you tell the women who, again, this is definitely comes back to mindset, but there is a real mental block for women who maybe believe they have the preconception that real estate investing is a male dominated space. What advice do you have for women who stumbling with that issue?
The imposter syndrome, feeling like you don't deserve a spot in the space. I mean, that was huge for me. And originally when we started doing syndications, I didn't want to do any marketing. We were thinking we would just join partnerships with other people to raise capital. We didn't really want to be out there pushing our business, doing that sort of thing. And then as we were diving deeper into it and kind of what it took to build a business, we realized, yeah, we're going to have to kind of build a brand and market. And at that point, I mean, honestly, I really couldn't do it without the support of Lupe. He's so encouraging. He's so supportive. I mean, I was second guessing it that first time I launched my brand, the Networth Nurse, and I did my first podcast. We were on a road trip up to visit his parents, and I made him practice interview questions with me for like 4 hours because I just was so nervous about starting to do podcasts. And even now, if I'm about to post something on Instagram that I feel is like, kind of out of the norm for me, I'll show it to him and he'll give me really honest, open feedback. And even before I did one of my first presentations and he was picking up our daughters from daycare, he just wrote on a little sticky note, like, just make sure you slow down when you talk, you're going to do great, and just left it on the keyboard for me. So honestly, having Lupe's support through all of this has been so, so huge. And then for me, reading kind of mindset, but shifting books. And then, I mean, there's other women out there doing it. And I relied on like kind of what they were doing and seeing how they were appealing to their audiences. And I know it can be hard as a woman, but then we kind of have an advantage because there's not a lot of women out there doing it. And I notice when I'm on masterminds with all men, as a woman, I do draw more attraction just because I'm the outlier in the instance of being on his call with all men. So I think there's disadvantages, but also advantages too. And if you just kind of use those advantages to kind of make your point or for you, it'll end up working out.
Yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful advice, Savannah. And I love the way you reframed it. Instead of feeling like, hey, I'm the only woman here, what do I have to offer? You're like, hey, I'm the only woman here. I have so much to offer. So I hope our listeners are picking up on that piece of gold right there.
Yeah, the fantastic work, you guys. So let's go ahead and fast forward here. I want to talk about what you guys have going on right now, right? Because, we talked a lot about, some of the underlying mindset and the relationship and the balance and all the time that it takes to get this started, and what kind of grit you guys have had to work your W-2, have a relationship with each other, have your kids, all of that stuff comes into play. And you're also doing syndications. So let's talk about your syndication and your guys' most recent project. Maybe can you talk us through the acquisition of that first, and then we'll go from there.
So our most recent one, after we did that first syndication, we just really focused on building relationships with brokers and our team and people that we did an amazing job of getting that first deal done with us. We made it a point to really harvest those relationships and put a lot into them, because taking down syndications is a team sport. You cannot do it alone. You're creating great relationships with lenders, brokers, property managers, contractors. Lupe does a lot of the asset management and acquisition phase of things. So he just really created great relationships with these people. And our brokers started sending us off-market deals. And we are under contract now for a 24-unit up in Oregon, where another one of our syndications is. And it's a value add opportunity. And we are raising money from friends and family for that one.
Excellent. Very cool. What type of value add, if you don't mind me asking, are you guys, going in and doing a major overhaul, or is this like kind of a moderate to light rehab?
More of a moderate. The rents are about what 17% under
Mhm.
market.
Mhm.
There's a lot of overhead expense. I think they have a couple property managers working at the same time, so we can reduce costs on property manager. And then we're looking to implement a water conservation program to it. That's going to help out costs a lot, increase that NOI.
Yeah, and that one, it's a kind of a shorter hold to sell after 5 years. That's kind of what we're doing in our syndications. We're trying to stay focused on one niche. I think recently on a podcast, someone was asking me, "Oh, have you thought about commercial or like medical office buildings, that sort of thing?" And Lupe and I are just so focused on what we've been doing. We're very specific on kind of what deals we're looking for, just so we can kind of harvest our experience and level of knowledge with that specific niche.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you guys more. I think that focusing on something that you're good at and that you're known for is going to allow you to branch out further. I think if you spread your energy out, in a lot of different places, that might be okay for those people who have lots of time and they don't have a W-2 to work and don't need to stay focused. But if you can keep using those relationships over and over again, that's exactly what happened to us when we grew our portfolio in Indianapolis. That's the exact same thing, is that we had to really focus on the repeat business and the trust, right? Establishing the trust, because in our business, in real estate investing, and in any business in general, really, it's all about getting the trust, like establishing trust so that things move efficiently, right? People are happier, right? So the money flows easier and you're able to get your returns quicker. So that's something that's really important. I couldn't agree with you guys more, and I just wanted to stress that.
And how did you both come to decide on that particular niche?
That was from the book we read from Michael Blanc. That's kind of what strategy he promoted in that book, or just kind of what he was doing and familiar with. And we looked up a bunch of different strategies after we read that book. We started listening to specifically multifamily investing podcasts and kind of looking at different strategies that people were implementing and people doing it in different markets. And then we kind of just felt something that felt right for us. And it was just kind of value add, short-term holds in the markets that we were investing in, which is Atlanta, Georgia, Oregon, Reno, and New Mexico.
Excellent. And this is a classic question, but how did you guys come to select those markets?
They're all a little different. They each have something different to offer. Atlanta, Georgia, that's just a big market that you hear a lot of people investing in. For us in Los Angeles, a lot of the film industry is moving over there in Georgia. So even in our small circle of friends here and just kind of our network here in Los Angeles, we would constantly hear about people moving to Georgia, the film industry moving over there. And then when we started researching it, just the huge growth opportunities, not just in the entertainment industry, but a lot of different markets. So it really appeals in that sense of extreme growth. So we have a different strategy over there, also a lower price point entry than California. And then up in Oregon, not as much competition up there. They do have rent control in place. It is a more liberal state. So there's a different strategies that we look for in terms of finding complexes up there. Reno, Nevada, we have family there. It's very similar, so a lower price point entry, really big growth over there, but not a lot of inventory. So we've been kind of looking at new build projects over there because there's not a lot. It's very competitive in that market. And then in New Mexico, that's one of our newer markets that we're exploring, not as heavy population growth as Atlanta, Georgia, but there is some little things that we're discovering about that city that make it appealing.
Awesome. Great stuff. Well, it sounds like you guys know exactly what it is that you're looking for, which is fantastic. And that's really the key to this, right? Is partnering up with the right people who have the skills that are missing or the resources missing that you may not have in order to take it down. And I think that it's really important. And what it seems like you guys are constantly asking is, when you're looking at buying multifamily or doing a syndication in a market where you don't even live in, you're in a different state, right? You're going to have some pieces missing. There's no way you're going to be able to know property management right from the get-go. And in some cases, lending, right? Because depending on the size of the property, you won't be able to use a national kind of Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae lender. You'll have to use a local bank, and so you'll have to tap some of those local resources. And so every person that's doing a syndication or some sort of multifamily needs to have a team member that's in a different state or some missing piece to your team. And so that's why this is such a people-based business where you got to pull in some of those. Can you talk about early on when you were building up your contacts, what strategies and what methods do you recommend to investors who are starting out, who are maybe just looking to start a single family portfolio or small multifamily portfolio or a commercial, like maybe a small multifamily, 5+ commercial units? What would you recommend that they do in order to start?
I would say build great relationships with brokers. There's tons of brokers out there and they'll send you deals, but if they're sending you deals and you're not giving them any feedback on it, regardless if you like it or you don't like it, we have a rule where, if a broker sends over a deal, I'll do underwriting and get feedback back to the broker within 48 hours. If it's not going to work, let the broker know, hey, this is why it's not going to work. Thank you. Let me know. What else? If you send that broker the feedback, they're going to see how responsive you are and they're going to keep feeding you deals. If they send you a deal over and they don't hear back from you, surely enough, you're not going to get any more deals from them. Also, in the beginning, we always wanted to submit an offer, but the more deals that we started getting it, the more I started walking away from deals rather than submitting offers, because I didn't want to just submit an offer and be a waste of time for the broker. He's not going to send a lowball offer to the investor because the investor's going to get upset with him. And then, sure enough, the broker's not going to send you deals. So I started walking away a lot for more deals than making offers just because, just because of the time and everything. So build great relationships with brokers. You hit it on the spot earlier too with your, with lending. We have a great relationship with our lenders. So when we call them and say, hey, we got this deal under contract, they're right there on it, ready to get on business.
Awesome. Fantastic, guys. Well, very cool. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to head into the rapid round part of the show here. So we're going to ask you 5 questions that we ask all of our guests. And then after that, we'll go ahead and ask you guys how we can learn more about you. But let's get into the rapid round first. So maybe do you want to?
Yeah. So this question is for each of you to answer. And so what book has had the biggest impact on you and why?
I'll go first. In college, I read the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. I think probably read it twice in a week, and I think that book just overall set the mind state just to be an entrepreneur and own your own business and invest. And I think that book set me in the right mind state. So when it came to, hey, let's do real estate, that I was kind of already in that mind state of, yeah, let's do it. I'm open to it. Let's dig into it.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to say Grit by Angela Duckworth. It's not even a real estate book, but it's more of a mindset book of just being able to overcome challenges, keep pushing through. There's going to be roadblocks on anything you encounter. I've relied on that book to get me through so many different hardships in my life, getting out of college and working through my W-2 and then even starting our real estate business. It just has motivated me to keep pushing forward.
If people wanted to be just like you, what would be the first actionable thing that they could do?
I'm going to say something easy because it's something that I've really started doing heavily over the last 6 months or so is meditate every day. That just even 10 minutes, I got the Calm app. Headspace just released something on Netflix, which is amazing. It's a super cool meditation, quick documentary type thing. And that's just something easy that I've put into my daily routine that I've noticed made a huge difference.
And I would say just have fun with it. Once you start having fun with real estate, it's not a job. It's it's something that we can both enjoy together, and time just flies by.
And what small thing do most people not know about you?
Oh man.
Don't worry, we'll edit out the silence. It's okay.
Oh no, I think probably that a joint answer is that we met in college through the Greek system. We were both I was in a sorority and he was in a fraternity, and we went on a grab date together when we were 18, and we kind of went our separate ways throughout college and then got back together after and have just been inseparable since.
And how do you guys like to unwind and restore your own creative juices?
On your own, each of you.
I would say for me, working out, that's just something that after I had my daughters really made it a point to do something for me. And that's something that I just do quick, like 20-25 minute HIIT workouts when I get home from work. And that helps me make that transition from working my full-time job. I come home, work out, and then I'm like, boom, a transition into mom mode and real estate mode. And that's kind of just like my day divide between the two. And it gives me that energy to keep working that second half of the day.
I would say playing and watching sports. I like watching live sports. I don't really like watching too much stuff on TV, but if it comes to live sports, college basketball, college football, baseball, big baseball fan, that helped me just unwind and kind of just relax with everything else.
And last question is there something special that you and your family like to do together?
Probably go to the beach. That's kind of our thing. We live in Los Angeles and it's beautiful year round, and our daughters are water babies. They love it. We can't ever get them out of it. And it's just something that we can get up early on Saturday or Sunday morning and spend just a few hours at the beach. And our daughters love it. And that just makes us super happy, and it's enjoyable for us.
Yeah, one thing we just started doing was at the end of every week, we have a jar and we have a little piece of paper and we write something that we
are grateful for. It's a New Year's tradition that we just implemented in 2021. So on Sunday nights, we write down our favorite part of the week. And then hopefully on New Year's 2022, we'll go through the whole jar and have all these memories to be thankful for.
Oh, that's
great.
Let's do that too.
A real big perk of us doing all these podcasts is we get to listen to such smart and incredible people like you guys, and we get to glean all of these ideas. And that's why these 5 questions that we ask are usually self-motivated.
Yeah, I stole that from someone else. I don't even know who I stole it from, and I can't give anyone credit, but I heard that and I told Lupe, I'm like, okay, we're doing this. This is going to be our New Year's tradition. So.
That is so cool. Yeah, and I'm
really
totally going to get that book. Great.
Yes.
I haven't heard of it before, but I'm totally going to get it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, you guys, we've had such a blast having you on. We hope that you had too. And what I'd like to do now is just kind of give you the floor right now. Maybe you guys can explain to your and our audience what it is that you do, where we can get a hold of you, and what's happening, how we can learn more.
Yeah. So right now we're doing multifamily syndications. After we did that first multifamily deal and we got a couple of friends and family to invest with us, we really just saw a huge opportunity that we could extend to people who wanted to get started in real estate investing, but didn't want to do a lot of the heavy lifting, didn't want to do really any of that nitty gritty acquisition phase or property management side of things, but they wanted to kind of receive some of those returns from real estate. And we both work in professions and have friends who want to get into real estate, but don't know how to start. And syndications are really just kind of a perfect ground for both parties. Now we get to take down these multifamily deals, open up the opportunity to other people who want to invest with us and help them achieve some of the amazing benefits of investing in real estate. And we've gotten so much enjoyment out of it. People who have never invested in anything else started investing in real estate and are getting just as juiced off it as we are. And just kind of having those conversations with people have been so beneficial for us. Really, the best way to get in contact with us is through my website, the Networth Nurse. On there, we have all of our educational material for investors, different resources. You can sign up for our mailing list, which is how you can get in touch with us and have some conversations about investing. So the Networth Nurse under all social media accounts. Lupe likes staying behind the scenes and he lets me be the face of our business. And so you'll find me on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook under the Networth Nurse. You can stumble on there, reach out to us. We love connecting with people. We love talking real estate. So if you're even remotely interested in what we've been talking about, reach out to us.
Yeah, we have a lot of people that now, send us deals over to, just to look at second, eyes on it. So I'm also available for that. If you want to send me anything that, say, hey, what do you think about these numbers? And I can give you some feedback as well. So we're really open to that as well.
Great. You guys are such givers. We really appreciate that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for being on. We really had an awesome time. Next time, we'll make sure to bring you guys on again so that we can catch everyone up on what it is that you're doing on the next syndication. I'm sure the next time we talk, you guys are going to be up in the 100 and 200 unit range and retired and all that stuff. So it'll be really cool to get an update.
Yeah, no, it's been so fun. I usually do podcast solo, so I'm so stoked to have my husband here.
Oh, it's great to have you both. Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. And Savannah and Lupe, especially you, Lupe, thank you so much for agreeing to come on and talk with us. We hope it wasn't so too revealing.
No, we have a blast.
All right. So thank you everyone for listening. Wherever you are, whether you're on iTunes or you're on Spotify or on YouTube, please make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button if you want to hear more content or see more content like this, and hear from more super powered couples like Savannah and Lupe. And if you click those buttons, then it'll kind of boost us up on the algorithm, and so we'll be able to get more exposure to more people. So we would really appreciate you doing that. But for now, this is the Elevate Your Equity podcast, and this is Derek.
And this is Sophie.
Signing off. Thank you guys so much. Have an awesome day.